All right, you grasshoppers. We have a special guest here today, a special show. We are kind of like new old friends, I guess we'd call ourselves. We haven't known each other that long. Actually, I saw Jessica on, I guess it was Instagram, right? I saw your page. Really interesting woman. I'll let her explain a little bit more about herself. But I was I saw her and I said, wow, like she runs a business. Her business is a men's barber shop, which is unique, I think. I thought it was that just to have a men's barber shop where it wasn't you're running it. She's a lawyer, a mother. What else you got going on? Any other business?
Yoga instructor.
Yoga instructor, right? And again, I think what we had in common was the healthy lifestyle, the exercise. Really taking care of yourself, but at the same time being really motivated with business and family and all that kind of stuff too. So great to have you on board. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Good. It's a pleasure. So tell me, let's start off a little bit. You've got two children?
I do. I have two little girls, 5 and 8.
Good. So you're busy too. I mean, you get everything going on. So that's have you got family nearby?
I do. My parents live nearby. My brother and his wife live nearby, which is helpful. And, my kids are little, so they're in elementary school. School just started. It's a crazy year. But on top of that, September is normally crazy anyway, just getting back into the swing of a routine.
So are they back in school? They're not doing virtually? They're in school?
They're in school, yeah.
Good.
It's way better, I think. I mean, they're learning so much more than I could provide for them while I try to work and teach them at the same time. It's impossible.
Well, that's the one thing a lot of people are talking about, like even the psychologists are talking like how those kids need to be in school and around friends and having that social activity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Not just for social, but for learning. I think they learn better from someone that's not their parent because it's easier to argue with me than it is to argue with the teacher.
My boys are 30 and 27. It's still like that. Somebody else, if I tell them something, it doesn't make sense at all. But somebody else tells them, exactly, they'll do what somebody else.
Nature of the beast. That's it.
Yeah. I was definitely like that with my parents too. I look back now, after you have kids, you start to look back at the way you were with your parents. You realize, oh God, I should have done things a little bit different. But
and you see your kid do something that bothers you, and then you're like, oh my God, that's from me. That's my fault.
When my oldest one was the first one to go off to college, when he left, he went to Michigan State. And I'm thinking to myself, oh God, if he acts like I did in college, I'm going to shoot this kid. But he was good.
I'm not there yet, but I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, it was. He gives me a hard time all the time I dropped him off. We'd gone out to visit Michigan State, and then he was going to go back out for a visit on his own, whatever orientation, whatever it was. And I dropped him off at LaGuardia Airport, and I didn't anticipate it coming, but I walked in the airport with him. He started going through the security line, and I started getting all teary-eyed, like I was getting emotional.
Aww.
And I just didn't expect it at all that I was going to have that feeling. And he saw me and looked at me. He still gives me a hard time about it now. It's like he thinks it's pretty funny, whenever he's taking off someplace, he's asking if I'm going to start crying.
I mean, I did that to I made fun of my mom for crying. She was like, don't say goodbye. It's too final when she dropped me off for college. And I laughed for years. And now I'm thinking, that's going to be me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
100%.
Pardon me?
100%. That will be me crying.
Oh, yeah. My youngest son, when he was, God, I think he must be like 8 or 9 years old, they were playing outside and he fell down. He was playing on some big trampoline. He fell down and he actually dislocated his elbow. It popped the wrong way. So I had to take him. I was really in control and everything, getting him to the hospital. I was fine. Once I got him to the hospital and the doctors and nurses took over, I guess I kind of felt like, okay, I'm not responsible anymore. And I started getting all teary-eyed with him. And he's laying there. They're just trying to drug him. He's in pain. And he's making fun of me too. He's going, my sons are total smart asses.
Those are definitely hard parent moments because my daughter, she fell and broke her collarbone. And they had to strap her down because she was so crazed at the hospital. She was so nervous and she wouldn't sit still. And they had to strap her to the gurney. And I just lost it because you don't want to see your kid like that. And she's looking at me like, how could you let them do this to me? And you feel so helpless and upset about it.
That's the hard part. They look at you like that, but you're the one that's supposed to be taking care of them all the time. And somebody else is doing something that they don't want. Yeah. That's right. All right. So let's get into your career a little bit and why when I saw it, I was like, wow, this woman's pretty impressive here. Like in my whole life is this true grit life, and it's all about discipline and keeping trying to get better every day, getting out of your comfort zone, not doing the same things. And I think yours maybe the kind of the feminine version of the true grit life. So like you've got you've not just got one barbershop, you had 3 barbershops and you sold one of them and you still have 2 left, right?
Right. That's right.
And so they're not just like a barbershop with the pole spinning around. These are nice barbershops where men are coming in to get their hair cut.
Yeah, this is kind of a lifestyle brand that we built because everything around here in Long Island where we live, my ex-husband and I own the shops together. So when I say we, that's who I'm referring to. But where we live, the options were either you go to some rinky-dink barbershop that hasn't been updated in 50 years, or you go to a women's salon. So we wanted to create an environment that was for men. It was upscale and just a place that men can go to be men but feel like they're getting pampered also. And so we created Mad Men Barbershop, and now that's the brand of shops.
What's the name of it again?
Mad Men Barbershop. So yeah, that's been great. And we had one overseas that we just sold in December. So now we have 2 in Long Island, and we are hoping, of course, to continue expanding. This year was a little hiccup. Obviously, everyone's recovering from COVID still. But after that, we have our sights on continuing the expansion of our company. And that's just one. Yeah, that's my main business. But when you
started the barbershop, you were a lawyer on Wall Street, weren't you?
Yes, I was an attorney on Wall Street for 10 years. I'm still an attorney, and I do a lot of corporate work on the side, restructuring companies and writing documents for partnership agreements and shareholder agreements, dissolutions, stuff like that. But for 10 years, I regulated the New York Stock Exchange, which was a great experience. Also a man's world. So the stock exchange, very male dominant. So is the barber industry. And here I am. I keep going through life in this man's world. But I'm just going to keep climbing.
That's excellent. So how do you find that? I mean, how do men react? I mean, I guess once they meet you and realize, say, this woman's pretty sharp. She's a lawyer. She knows what she's doing. And do they look at you differently, treat you differently, or?
It's interesting because now more people know that I'm the owner of the shops. But at first, people just thought I was the register girl. They'd be like, oh, that girl that runs the register. And the barbers would say, she's the owner. And then you do get treated differently, which is sad because I feel like the girl who's running the register should have just as much respect for her as the owner of the shop. But it is different. It's been an interesting ride, but now everybody's used to it. And, the guys that work for me, I think it was hard for them at first too, because they're in the barber industry for a long time. And mostly the owners are male barbers who end up opening up their own shop. I don't cut hair. And I'm a woman, so it was definitely something they've gotten used to through the years. Right.
I mean, you think about it, a female should be treated based on her intelligence and her abilities and everything like that. It shouldn't, but that unfortunately is still kind of the world we live in those, especially in those industries, Wall Street and the barbershop, where it's like male dominated.
Yes.
Place, right.
On Wall Street, it was great because I had to take licenses away and suspend brokers when they did bad things to their customers. And they're very, a lot of them are coming out of high school, becoming brokers. They're on the floor. They're making a ton of money for their age, and they have a very high confidence level. And they walk in and they see a young woman there ready to depose them and take away their license. And they don't like that at all. Yeah. So I'm very familiar with this type of guy, and I've kind of been dealing with him my whole life, and it's fine. I think it's just made me part of who I am, and it's just made me stronger when people underestimate me.
So if somebody does or says something disrespectful or whatever, have you gotten used to it and you don't take it personally now, or do you feel like you need to defend yourself and straighten that person out?
I don't take it personally. I think that, but I don't let it slide. I kind of make light of it so they know I understand what just happened, but I don't take offense because I think some people just, they say things innocently that they don't realize be taken in a weird way if you're a woman, right? So I think I make light of it so that they become aware that that's not really okay without making them feel like I'm scolding them.
Right. Yeah. It's going to escalate too. Right now, their ego gets involved and they feel like they have to come back with another comment.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't take it personally because I think that, I'm kind of just used to it at this point, and that doesn't make it okay. And that's why I want to say something in the moment, but I don't want them to feel defensive or that I'm becoming defensive either.
Right. You told me a great story when you were getting like you're into fitness and health and eating properly and yoga and everything, and you really started doing the yoga when you were going through your divorce, right? Is that the way you said it?
Yeah, I mean, I tried yoga in college. I tried it again at a different point in my life in between kids, and I wasn't really feeling it. And now looking back on it, I think it's because I wasn't really there mentally. You know, I've always worked out, but I've always been like an aggressive person at the gym, like where I just need to get out my stress and, you know, go hard on the cardio and weights or whatever. I wasn't really ready mentally for yoga. So after my divorce, I found it really hard to concentrate because I was really anxious. I was depressed, and my mind was just racing all the time. But I had these kids I had to take care of. I had these businesses I had to tend to, and I needed to focus. So I went to yoga, and it became a real source of tranquility for me. I was doing these poses that were difficult at the time. To me, they were difficult. Now, you know, they're basic to me now, but in the moment, it was hard. And focusing my energy on those poses, I walked out of the class realizing, oh, I haven't thought about my divorce in 45 minutes, and I felt refreshed. So I kind of got addicted to that feeling of peace that it brought me. And it became a really important part of my life. Now I practice every day. I think it really helped me get out of a dark place. And then I started to see, wait a second, this is toning my body. And I'm using my own body to tone myself, like my own body weight and holding these positions and going upside down. And I just became totally in love with it. I'm trying to spread that to everybody else who might be going through something difficult and looking for a way to pick themselves up.
See, that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on too, because I'm really into this. My up at 3:30, making the bed perfect, and going to the gym and pounding iron, trying to get stronger and everything. That's my version of my maybe mental therapy for me.
Yeah.
It motivates me, and I think sometimes I forget, to be honest, that there are other people that don't have maybe that same mentality, but there's still something else that they can do. And in your case, it's the yoga to make themselves better, both mentally and physically. It doesn't have to be throwing weights around and grunting and groaning in the gym, right? So I think that's really why, and seriously, it's what I want to have you on, because I thought people have said to me in the past, like, they wanted to work with me or something, but they go, Tom, I can't work out with you because you're too strong. Like they're kind of intimidated by it, but it doesn't. So the point is, it doesn't have to be what I do. You can make yourself better by doing what you do, whatever it is that you want to do. It could be yoga, it could be walking, it could be riding a bike. In my case, it's lifting weights and everything. So and that was just yourself, right? You've had that kind of, it seems like you kind of trained yourself to have that mentality, that to find a way to get through the things that you've got to get through.
Absolutely. Like I said, listen, I do the whole work hard at the gym thing too. I mean, I still do cardio every day. I still do weightlifting and stuff like that. This is just part of my regimen. So I understand the need for people to like go hard and get that stress out that way also. And yes, my whole life, I've always gotten up early and gone to the gym, and that's just part of who I am. But when you're in a dark space, it's really hard to motivate yourself to do that. But I think the routine of something, whatever that something is for you, the routine of it is going to help pull you out. It's going to help you get into a better mental space.
And do you think that right now, the pandemic, there's a lot of people I talk to, they're like that. They're saying, God, I've lost my energy. I'm not focused. And it's a matter of getting back on that routine. And I say to people all the time too, like, so when they get depressed like that, or you going through your divorce, I'm sure there's sometimes you sit there and you go, oh man, how am I ever going to get through this? Right. It looks like such a momentous task to get through it. And I think that's that first step that you got to take to say, okay, the first task I have today is to get myself to the gym. And then even if you spend 15 minutes at the gym, then the next day you're at the gym for 20 minutes and so on and so on. And I think that's kind of what I've learned, is that you've got the same mentality. It's, you don't look at that big daunting task in front of you. Look at the first smaller task that you've got to take care of to get going, right?
That's exactly it. I think people, sometimes the thought of getting started is actually harder than starting, because you think, oh, to do this, I have to do X, Y, Z. So during COVID, I decided to get certified as a yoga instructor, because I feel like I can help people, especially people that have been through a lot of trauma. I can help them get started, kickstarting their life again through yoga, but also positivity, right? So one thing I tell everybody when I'm like, I'm a yoga instructor, do you want to do some private lessons? Right away, they say, I've seen your Instagram. I can't do those poses.
Right.
And I said, that's not yoga. That's fun for me. Those are challenges that I present to myself because I want to keep getting better and I want to give myself something to work towards. I think having a goal to work towards is really important for building your confidence and maintaining your interest in something. But I understand that most people that'll start doing training with me are going to know nothing. And that's fine too. Wherever you are is the perfect spot to start, wherever that is.
Yeah, totally. So when I do a lot of exercises that you've seen, I've got the balance board or the Bosu ball or whatever, and everybody, same thing. Everybody's saying, I can't do that. I go, well, listen, it obviously, first of all, it looks a lot worse than it really is. It isn't that bad. And we're not going to start off by having, 225 pounds on your back standing on a
Right.
Bosu. I mean, you're going to work our way up to it. So I think it's important that, that's the key thing is like, don't look at you or don't look at me and say, okay, I've got to do what they're doing. You've got to do what's best for you. So,
and I say that in my classes too. Like when you look around the classroom, you're going to have people of all different capacities, right? People who've been doing yoga for 15 years, people who just started yesterday. Right. You can't compare yourself. This is your own journey. It's very personal. Everyone's there for a different reason. Everyone has a different past, different places of their body that need work. And I think you just have to always respect and accept where you are.
Right. Well, and don't be afraid of having some failures too, right? Like you're not always going to be perfect in your moving forward. It's that old saying, it's like progress ahead of perfection, right? I do some broadcasts with the Navy SEALs too. They're fantastic. They one guy we had on, great young guy, and he said, the first thing you got to remember is life is not fair. And the next thing you got to remember is that you are not perfect, right? And once you realize that, okay, they're going to look at you and go, this woman's perfect, right? She's running a business, she's, fit, yoga, all this kind of stuff going on, but you're not perfect. And I don't mean that you're not expecting. No. Yeah. So that's, people realize, okay, she has bad days, she has good days. It's just a matter of keep moving forward all the time.
And I have days where I eat bad too. I feel like that's one thing people always say to me, like, how do you do it? Right. Yeah, you need a lot of discipline in order to maintain your weight and maintain your tone, muscle tone and stuff like that. But you also need to give in. You have to enjoy life. You have to enjoy your meals. You have to have a dessert. You can't be on all the time.
Totally. But I just started a couple months ago, started doing the intermittent fasting. I'm stubborn. People have mentioned intermittent fasting to me years ago. But I really have to be sold on it to do it. Like I really have to say, okay, I'm passionate about doing it. And I've really done some more research. I saw a video the other day of a gentleman, I think it was a doctor, talking about just how, like years ago, before there was grocery stores and refrigerators where food was readily accessible, we were fasting all the time just naturally, because once there was food, you ate the food because you needed it to survive. And then you may go for days without food again. We've kind of gotten used to now putting salt on food, sugars and oils and everything, to make it's not just to sustain ourselves anymore. It's comfort, it's enjoy, which is fine. Like you said, you want to enjoy food.
Yeah.
But I think it's, to me, what I'm kind of shifting towards a little bit is making sure that the foods that I put in my body, like you said, most of the time are foods that are going to do something for me to help me get healthier, like ginger and turmeric in the morning and apple cider vinegar and all that. And I do it. I had this one friend of mine who kept talking about turmeric and ginger, like she was overweight and out of shape and everything like that, and eating fried food and everything. And it was just so foreign to her. Like she wasn't even in the same world to talk about that kind of stuff. And again, it's part of the learning process for me to say, listen, I don't expect you to go from eating fried chicken one day to now having a juicer and making juiced ginger at home. It's not going to happen that way. You kind of evolve into it too. So.
Totally. First of all, I love fried chicken. I'll just say that. But, for me, what I did in this journey, because I'm Italian, so I grew up eating pasta like almost every day, seriously. And when I moved out on my own and then I started getting into fitness, I had to really shy away from that. But what I did at first was just make a better choice at least once a day. So where I would have grabbed something carb intense, I instead chose protein, right? So I also love steak. I'm a meat and potatoes girl. And I would just start eating a lot of more protein. So more chicken, a little bit less starch at every meal, right? Just a little bit. It's like a tweak. And then your body does get used to it. They say that and no one believes you, but it's true. Yeah. And then you'll start craving those things instead. And then it becomes a little bit easier, but it starts with just a tiny tweak. You can't just say like one day, I'm not going to eat pasta. I'm not going to eat starch. It has to be just a little.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't have agreed with you years ago, but it's I believe that now wholeheartedly, that you can really train your mind and your body together to get to the point where you don't crave those things anymore. Like we talked before with that video where the gentleman was talking about having like salt and sugar and oils have just now become part of our food that we eat, and we don't have to do that really. There's other ways to spice up our food and not use salt and not use, artificial sugars and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I agree. It is funny though, because if you had said that to me about 2 years ago, I was like, oh, come on, no way. That's not true. I grew up on a farm, where it's steak and potatoes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So now it's, like I said, now it's ginger and turmeric and apple cider.
I think there's a part of it that's also a mental thing though. Like for me, when I eat healthy that day, I'll feel extra good about myself because I know that I put in my body what I need. And then I'll have a cheat day. I don't have a cheat day like, oh, Sunday I'm going to eat that. But, every week I have a day where it like ends up being that. And I don't feel guilty about it, but I will feel like it in my body will feel differently. So I think like part of it is the way that you feel after you eat something good also.
So now, okay. So you've got your hair business, Mad Men.
Yeah.
You're a lawyer, and now, are you taking on clients? I think I heard you say that. So you have clients coming to you, and you help them start companies, right?
Yeah, I have been doing that. It was motivated by COVID. So for me, my life changed when I got divorced. I was going through a bad time. I started doing yoga. That changed me. It changed my mindset, and I had my job at the stock exchange. Right before we split up, I had decided to leave that job so that we can grow the company, and we opened up a second shop. Then we got divorced. So I was kind of like, oh my God, I gave up my career and now I have this new career. So I was thrown in, to the Mad Men lifestyle, and I was trying to figure my way through that. And I thought it felt very reminiscent, COVID, for people losing their jobs. It made me remember that time in my life. And I thought, you know what? I did it. I can help other people do it too. So I started to advertise, you want to start your own business? You have an idea you've been working on and you never had the opportunity to start. Let's do it. Like now is the time to reinvent yourself. I did that for me. I can help you. And so now that is what I'm doing. I've always kind of helped companies on the side do their legal documents for startups, but now I'm helping coaching them to brand themselves, rebrand their products. Because even people who aren't new entrepreneurs that have businesses, they all have to pivot right now and kind of come up with a new way that keep their companies going during COVID with all these regulations. So I think it's a broad idea that many people can benefit from.
Yeah, that's very cool. So it isn't just completing LLC paperwork and stuff like that. It's actually coaching them on what they need to do, taking a look at their business and say, okay, well, here's how you can recover from this terrible time we've had here. So how will people get a hold of you for that?
They can email me right now. I'm developing my website, so that will be up soon. It should be up in the next 2 weeks. But for now, they can contact me at my email, which is jessicadennehy@gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll post that on the website too. But you're on. Can they get a hold of you through Instagram and Facebook?
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah. Instagram's better for me. It's Jessica_Dennehy_.
Perfect. Okay. And same on Facebook or just Jessica Dennehy on Facebook?
Just Jessica Dennehy on Facebook. That was taken on Instagram. So now I have to use the underscore.
I know. That's why I've got people laugh at me sometimes because it's got real Tom Laidlaw on Instagram. And it's like I'm being all arrogant or something like that. It's like already taken. So, all right. So they can get a hold of you for that business. Mad Men. Where is Mad Men located in Long Island?
We have one location in Wantagh, New York, and one in Williston Park.
Okay. Excellent. Good. I saw the pictures of it. It looks pretty nice too. Like it's not just the small little barbershop. It's a big shop, right? They all the wood and everything. That's cool.
Yeah, it's the one in Williston Park has a more vintage feel, like a 1920s kind of feel, and then the one in Wantagh has a 70s boxer theme going on.
Oh, that's right. And so, okay, so let's go through all the businesses. We've got the hair cutting with Mad Men. People get a hold of you for if they want to start up companies or pivot with their current companies. You can have them with legal advice and the kind of coaching advice what to do. Yoga instructor, you're doing that as well?
Yeah, I do. I'm doing private sessions for yoga. Okay. I could do them on Zoom or live, so lots of options there.
Again, people get a hold of you the same way, Jessica Dennehy and
yeah.
Okay. What else we got going on?
So far, that's what I have. But stay tuned. I'm thinking about starting a podcast of my own because I've been working my way through the podcast circuit here, and I'm having a great time doing it. Yeah. So that might be something that is in the works. You have to stay tuned, find out.
You definitely should. You can come back on here anytime you want, but you should definitely do your own as well. But
I would love to come back.
Yeah, good. Now you said before that you had a hair cutting place overseas.
We did have a barbershop in the Dominican Republic because a lot of our barbers are from there. And my business partner went out there to look at a place in the mall, and we ended up opening in the mall, and it was great. We had it for, I think, 2 years before we were approached to sell it to a competitor mall in the area. So now we sold all the franchising rights to that mall. So they have the Dominican Republic rights, so they can keep going with it if they choose.
Oh, very cool. Our listeners, and he wrote this wrong, but you should get her to get your hair. He meant cut my hair. So I have,
you don't want me near your hair. Again, I don't cut hair. I could probably do yours. It looks like
you can do mine. You can do mine. I just have that razor and I get it done every day. I got an old teammate of mine, Ron Greschner. We do a funny podcast together on Thursdays, and these other podcasts, if he gets on, he's listening, he's always writing in comments like, did you cut your hair with a brick today or something like that? So he thinks it's funny. We laugh at him to keep him happy, but that's great. Well, listen, it's been great to have you on. And like I said, we'll, if you go off and do your own podcast, that's fantastic. We'd love to help you in any way we can. And the key thing, like I said, too, is what was impressed me about you is, it's just that mentality you have. Like, you went through a tough time with the divorce. Instead of letting it get you down, you found some way to get out of it and actually make yourself better. And I think those kinds of things, I think, are just great lessons, especially right now for people going through all this COVID, right? I mean, I've seen a lot of people. If I'm out for a march in the morning or something, and in the afternoon, I see people all the time, and they're always like, "Oh, I'm just getting so depressed." And but you sit there and say, "Well, poor you." But there's ways you can get out of it, right? Things you can do by, and again, whether it's yoga or weightlifting or walking or riding a bike or cooking or whatever it is that you're passionate about. So that's good news.
I mean, you only have two options, right? You could give up, or you can let it make you stronger, and you have to choose which one you're going to allow yourself to do.
Yeah, I'm so glad I saw your site there and got to have you on. So we'll do it again. So be good for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Great talking to you.
Great talking to you too.